Opening line, June 18th, 2021, brought to you by EliteSportsBetting.com. I am Austin, and I am with Dream for the first time this week. Dream makes his way back to the screen. Dream, how are we doing on this fine Friday morning?
Pretty good, man. Can't really complain. The Orioles are back at home and off the road, so maybe they'll get a W. I doubt it, but they might get a W.
Yeah, they have 19 in a row they've lost. Obviously the Diamondbacks just broke the record at 23. The funny thing was they don't have the worst record, someone said. I have to check this. I'm looking at it right now. No, they do. I thought someone said I think it was the Orioles. Like they've lost 19 in a row at home and somehow don't have the worst away record.
Like not the worst streak. I don't know. Do the Rockies have the worst away record? Because I was looking at their home.
Oh yeah, the Rockies do. So the Diamondbacks don't. Right? Yeah. The Rockies are 5-27 on the road.
How the fuck are they 24-14 at home though?
I mean, they know how to pitch in that. I think they know how to pitch in Coors now. But yeah, head over to EliteSportsBetting.com. You get all the picks that we're about to break down. We're going to go through the whole slate today. U.S. Open, we're into the second round, kind of. I know the first round's finishing up this morning because they had some weather delays. Frank and Paulie have a bunch of plays over there. I know Paulie is more of the provides the in-round or in-tournament bets, if you will, just for has not added any for round two, but keep an eye on the bet pack for that. And Duke has been killing it in the Euro soccer as that trucks along here. So we are on, again, YouTube and Twitch as well as Periscope now. So if you are watching on YouTube or Twitch, please follow, subscribe, and yeah, let's get into it, Dream. First game on the board, Mets and Nationals, Lucchesi versus Fetty. Nationals here are minus 113, total of 9 in this one. Did you like a side here or anything you're leaning towards here?
Not really, man. I've been, Fetty's a guy that I've liked for a couple of years now, and you're kind of waiting for him to break out. I don't really know what to expect out of him, really, though. He's been fairly inconsistent this season. He's pitched, I think, went 5 or 6 in his last start, 7 the start before that, and he looked decent. And you look at Lucchesi, he's another guy that I've liked as well when he was with the Padres. Always kind of needed a third pitch, but the thing that jumped out to me were his splits between the bullpen and the rotation. It's a small sample size, but I mean, I think he had as a relief pitcher of only 7 innings, but a much higher FIP. Oh no, forget about all that. I'm that confused with somebody else, but nothing for me here, man. These are two guys that I don't really have a good feel for, really.
Yeah, I don't really know what to make of Fetty. We kind of made fun of him because he's just been really bad basically his entire career. I will say the last 2 years, I know it's only 128 innings here, but he did overperform pretty considerably. 4.5 ERA in 2019 with a 6.54 xERA, 5.34 FIP. Last year, 4.29 ERA, 5.41 xERA, 6.15 FIP. So maybe he's a guy that just kind of fits that, little sliver that can beat those stats. There's always those guys. This year he's outperforming just a little bit, but he did have that, that big increase in strikeouts is what, you're seeing a lot of the success for. So nothing here for me is either.
The Braves have got to him a couple times this season, but if you look at his game logs, he's pretty much flirting with a quality start almost every outing.
Right. I guess I have a slight lean with Fetty, which is crazy because you could probably go back to opening line back in the beginning of April when I was trashing him. But yeah, it's tough. The Mets lineup, I bet on them yesterday. There's just not a lot of good hitters in that lineup, and it's tough for them to score runs now. This went from one of my favorite lineups before the year, and they've had a ton of injuries. And like I kind of made fun of the Indians yesterday while I bet on them with like Bobby Bradley hitting like 5th or 6th in that lineup. I'm like, who the heck are these guys? But the Indians tend to always find a way to get it done. The Mets do not.
Right. I think it's nice that you were on the Indians yesterday. I mean, you look at the Mets lineup 5 through 9 projected. It's McCann, McKinney, Pilar, and Guillermo. I mean,
yeah,
correctly.
I mean, McCann versus a lefty, sure. Like that's, he hits lefties pretty well, but Fetty's a righty on the mound today. I don't know. I guess if this would get lower, I mean, it's kind of what's already. If there's a little bit of buyback on the Mets, I'd maybe think about adding the Nationals here. Just looking at this, I'm kind of talking myself into it because I have a slight lean there. Like when you said the 5 through 9, I know the 5 through 9 on Washington's not good either, but I would say the top of that lineup is better for Washington. Say the pitchers are even. Washington at home, I don't know. Maybe the price is a little bit short. So
Nats do have hit lefties pretty well. So yeah, and I agree with you there.
Right. Yeah, so I mean, even Soto, for being a lefty, absolutely rakes lefties. So, yeah, if I guess if I see some money come in on the Mets here and get maybe down closer to even money, I think the Nationals might be added for me. Next game, St. Louis at Atlanta. This game had a ton of movement towards St. Louis from the opener. Fried against Martinez, Fried at home, minus 142 right now, total of 9, juiced pretty heavily to the over. You, me, and Frank were talking before the show about basically this is kind of, we think, maybe a little bit short. And I know Frank, he did go ahead and play the Braves here, but any thoughts on if this price is short or what to make of Carlos Martinez? Because that's really the question here.
I don't know, man. Martinez will either go 5 and allow 2 or go 4 and allow like 9. I can't really guide up. I definitely see why a bunch of money came in on the Cardinals. I do think that opener is a little ridiculous at minus 180. The Braves have had some bullpen issues. I know Morton went pretty deep yesterday and gave everybody a rest. But at this number, man, it's like minus 142 at Pinnacle. I mean, this pretty much, I think it's like Atlanta or nothing now, and I do like the Braves at this price.
Yeah, slightly in for me as well. I think Frank is going to end up with some pretty good CLV. I imagine this close as like 150, maybe 155. Like, I know it's the Cardinals, but like Frank and I talked about this yesterday. Like, there's this team every year that we think like, okay, the run's going to end. Like, they're not going to overperform again. And yet they continue to do so. And early on, it looked like they were going to do it. And like now, I don't know. We talked about this yesterday. Their run differential is now up to minus 31. That's, I bet if you looked at that a month ago, it was around 0. Like they've had a pretty disastrous month. So I don't know. They're now 4th in the division. I know they're only a game behind the Reds, only 4 games back of the division leading Cubs. But this lineup is just not anything to get excited about. Like I go down it, like, sure, the top, they're betting on Tyler O'Neill, who's, he's pretty much a boomer bust guy with home runs. Do I think Yachty's going to hit like he has for the whole year? Probably not, but they have starting pitching problems. They have bullpen isn't exactly strong. So I think this is kind of short. I kind of agree with Frank. Not enough for me to play it right now though. And like Frank, if he was on, I know he'd be talking about Max Fried's numbers probably look worse than they are because he just wasn't right to start the season. He went on the IL there for, I don't know, 2 weeks or whatever it was, and he's come back pretty well.
He got right in 2 of his first 3 starts, and he's been pretty solid since then.
Yeah, he went on the IL and kind of, I don't know, figured something out. I don't know if he just wasn't quite healthy or if he needs to figure out how to throw strikes, whatever it is. Next game on the board is Marlins and Cubs. Don't believe the Marlins have announced they started yet, so that is still off the board. I really wanted to talk about Zach Davies today and get your opinion on him.
Go ahead. Talk about Zach Davies, Austin.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to say like one quick word about him, what you think, and just how he's kind of pitching well with striking out the same amount of people he's walking.
I mean, yeah, I didn't get a chance to look at that game. Like you said, that wasn't on the board, but I mean, his numbers show significant regression. No, I mean, his ERA is 4, and expected ERA is in the 6s. His FIP is 4.31. I think his Sierra 5.53. Yeah. I mean, he's been better as of late, if I'm not mistaken. But I mean, I don't know, man. I'm just kind of waiting for him to get shelled.
Yeah, I think it's gonna come. He's been a guy that's consistently outperformed his underlying metrics the last, I don't know, three years or so, but I don't know. It looks really bad. Strikeouts are down a ton. I don't really know what to make of them. Marlins, of course, don't have a really good lineup, so maybe he lucks out today. But
while we're on the NL Central, I'm kind of just waiting for one of those teams just to make a fucking move. I mean, it really wouldn't take much. Like if the Brewers get a bat, I mean, that kind of bumps them up because only 4 games separate the top 4 teams in that division. I mean, a slight improvement by one of those clubs could go a long way.
I don't know what the Cubs are doing. Like, I think the Cubs wanted to sell, and now they lucked into. I don't know if it's locked in. I think they're solid. Their pitching, I guess, is kind of lucked into. But like, how do you not go out and get another arm?
You have to. And the thing is,
If
we
you're the Cubs,
thought that they were going to have a pretty good lineup, and they have. We didn't expect their bullpen to be lights out, and it's been insane.
Yeah, Kimbrel's been great. I don't know what we're making. Like, Milwaukee needs a bat. Well, like 100%. They need to, and there's not a ton of starting pitchers. So there's an article out about a lot of the trade targets starting pitching. A lot of guys have been injured. Like Pineda just went down with a elbow. There's a couple other guys. Like Scherzer just went with a groin. If you want to say the Washington's gonna punt it here soon. There are a lot more bats, and then like a guy like Tyler Anderson for the Pirates, who's been really bad the last little bit. Cincinnati's weird. I guess they could make a move for a bat. Their starting pitching's kind of like they got 4 guys that are pretty solid. You know, maybe a bullpen arm they could go for, which I feel like bullpen arms are pretty easy to come across. Maybe they could get, but St. Louis definitely needs to go for a starter. So it'll be interesting to see the Cubs and the Cardinals kind of bidding for starters here as we get into the middle of summer, closer to the trade deadline. Speaking of the IL Central, Brewers at Rockies, Corbin Burns on the mound, Antonio Sensatella on the mound for the Rockies. Burns is minus 185. I kind of like Colorado in this spot, but totalness was 10.5 juice the under. What do you like about this one?
I mean, I don't know, man. If I can't play an over or a team total at Coors, I pretty much stay away. I benched both Burns and Woodruff in my dynasty league this week, so I mean, I looked to see if he had any history of pitching at Coors, and I think it was like 2 innings with, I don't know, an ERA of 9, but like nothing significant. We saw a bunch of money come in on the Rockies yesterday. I wouldn't be surprised if we kind of see that again. I'm probably just staying away here.
Yeah, I was on the Rockies yesterday, and that was awesome. I want to be on them again here. You can get 170-ish in that range. I think that has some value. Frank and I were talking about how yesterday, like, guys with loopy curves do tend to struggle more because it just doesn't break as much and all the issues that Coors Field presents. And Woodruff is a guy who, even though he throws like 97, doesn't really have like super fast off speed stuff. So, maybe there were some issues there, and he gave up 2 home runs and 5 runs in the first. So maybe there was something there. My only issue is like 80% of the pitch. Sorry, 90% of the pitches. Math is terrible today. That Burns throws is like 87, 88 or higher. Like he doesn't really use his curve. I mean, he uses his curveball, but like the changeup is 10% of the time. That's at 91. I think that should be a fine pitch. It's not a ton of break needed. So I don't know. I was kind of hoping it was kind of on my like threshold of what I needed to play. So I was kind of hoping maybe like some Brewers money would push us up, and like maybe I'd get in at like 180 or something, like 185. I don't know. But right now I'm holding off on the Rockies. So
we've seen a pretty significant dip in Burns's RPM on his cutter, at least. So that's something else to kind of watch for.
Yeah.
Even
don't talk me into the Rockies dream. Don't make
somebody asked, I think they asked Council a couple of weeks ago, like if they were concerned about Burns and his RPMs dropping. They're like, no, he's pretty much had these numbers since like 2016 or something in single A. That doesn't seem to be the case here. So that's just another guy to keep an eye on.
Yeah, it's funny. We were talking about this yesterday too. Is the guys that aren't named Garrett Cole or Trevor Bauer aren't really going to get talked about. Like I think Karinchak for the Indians, their stud closer, his numbers are way down. Like, you haven't heard a word about him. I guess I know he's a reliever, but like Burns, you haven't heard a word about him. Like, it's because the Bauer and Cole are just the big names. They have the big paydays, big contracts, and all that. So, there are other guys other than Trevor Bauer and Garrett Cole who cheated. And to Garrett Cole's credit, even though his RPMs have been down, he's been good in 2 of the 3 starts against pretty good offenses. I think he's faced Minnesota. Was Houston one? I don't know. I forget. Toronto was one, but he kind of, he might be a little lucky, sure, but he's been pretty solid. My thought on that was he pitched that first day, and I think he went with nothing. And then I personally think they're going to say basically don't use spider tack. Baseball this year, do not use spider tack. Anything else is good. We'll reevaluate everything in the offseason, but get spider tack out of the game because it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and I pretty much agree with you. Ottavino is another guy that's had spin rates drop significantly. But,
right.
Man, baseball, they really have to just let these guys use sunscreen and rosin and just kind of turn a blind eye to that, or just explain to people that that's not necessarily cheating, or how it's really different from spider tack.
Just say get rid of spider tack. Do not use it. If you get caught, you're getting suspended, whatever, with pay, of course, they said.
And then fill that roster spot, which I do think is significant.
Right. And then come the off season, if you want to ban the sunscreen stuff, like make the ball a little bit easier to grip, because baseball did this stupid thing where it's like, oh, we're just going to make it slippery because everybody can hold the ball or spin it, so fast. So we're just going to, make it more slippery. So, of course, in the natural way, the MLB waited for this problem to get out of hand. And then all because they ruined the no-hitter, because there was like a no-hitter per week this year. They were like, oh, shit, we need to do something. So, yeah, hats off to the MLB. You made another great decision like you always do. Our boy, Rob Manfred. See ya. Next game on the board, Dodgers and Diamondbacks. Speaking of, our boy Trevor Bauer going up against Caleb Smith. Bauer's currently minus 191 on the road. Arizona, just like the Orioles we talked off the top, they're at home, so they don't have to worry about extending that win streak or losing streak tonight. Total in this one's 9.5. Are you just avoiding Bauer games at this point, or what is your take on what's your approach when using him as an inning game?
Avoided. I wanted to watch those last two starts, and I mean, you could see his fastball's like getting hit. It's not the pitch that it was while he was using the spider tack. I mean, you don't even really need to look at the RPMs to see that. Caleb Smith was the guy that I wanted to bring up. His bullpen rotation splits. It's not a large sample. He's thrown 17 innings out of the rotation. It's a 5.19 ERA, 30 innings out of the bullpen, 2.3 ERA, and that works out to a FIP of 5.6 as a starter and 3.2 out of the bullpen. We know the Dodgers kind of struggle versus lefties, but honestly, in this game, I like the Dodgers. Maybe a team total might be safer. That's kind of where I'm leaning here.
Yeah, so it's tough. I lean a little bit to the Diamondbacks, and this isn't with me downgrading Bauer because I still think it's a little too early, even though I know that there's definitely a definite change there. But I don't know. I'm using Bauer like what he's been for the last couple of years, and I lean Diamondbacks here. Plus 170 the ball. The like you said, I think he's been worse than Cole has, even though Cole's getting all the talk. I think he's been worse. So again, this was another one. It was on my threshold. Big dog. I was kind of hoping that, and now it was Bauer, so I should have just waited probably should have fired on it. But I was thinking, the Dodgers will probably get some money because that's what big favorites do, blah, blah, blah. But maybe Bauer doesn't because of the track record there. I did see this earlier at like 177. It's come down. I guess it's 174 now, so that's not a huge difference. But I was kind of hoping for like 180, 185 and maybe hop on the Diamondbacks and hate my life for it because I'm close to playing the Rockies and the Diamondbacks today. So
I did think that we would see more Diamondbacks money yesterday than we did, but maybe that was more injury related. It's funny, though, that we are, I think, somewhat consistently seeing people wanting to bet the Orioles and the Diamondbacks almost every day. But if you look at, so I pulled up Bauer's fastball stats for the last two games. In his last outing, he had a WOBA of 521, expected slugging of 693 on his fastball. The game before that, he had an expected slugging of 716 with a 440 WOBA on his fastball. Now, I'm not going to go through his entire game log, but it's safe to assume that those are easily the worst numbers he's put up this season.
Yeah, and that was Atlanta and Texas. Atlanta, good offense. Texas, middle of the road, I guess. So he's still getting the strikeouts. He had the 8 and 7 in those games, but he did have walks. So that'll be interesting. If the command again, like they said, when you not only can you spin it, you can control it easier. So that'll be something to watch.
I think this is what Bauer wanted. We're stuck in this situation. I don't want to blame him, but this is pretty much what he kind of created.
And I don't like. and you know what? Like people used to say this about Bonds. Like Bonds got mad at Sosa and McGuire for being on roids and having that home run race and getting all, and then Bonds just like took what you can do as a hitter to like unbelievable lengths, like on steroids. Like I feel like this is kind of what Bauer did. Like he saw everybody else doing this, and like he was at Driveline, like trying to figure out how to organically do it. At least that's what he says. Maybe he wasn't. And then all of a sudden he was like, "No, screw this! Like I'm trying to get a $300 million contract, and I'm just gonna try to, you know, use whatever concoction I have." And then somebody obviously found Spider Tack, and I don't think anybody's ever. I don't know if there's anything out there that beats Spider Tack.
I don't think Super Glow Pops, I think, we're beating Spider Tack. But no, I mean, yeah, I think that increased RPMs by like 700 or something insane.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think most people know that Bauer and Cole, like, they kind of go back to their days at UCLA where they weren't friendly, to say the least. I mean, you could pretty much call them enemies. So yeah, it's just kind of a big fuck you to Cole and the baseball. But if it gets the game in a better place, I'm not really going to complain.
And Bauer kind of like sacrificed himself because like people, Bauer I know was like
himself to getting $30 million a year for 3 years. So
right, and Bauer wasn't exactly great. Like if you look at Bauer's stats, he's had basically before this year 2 good years, and one was last year in 73 innings. Like that's it. Like he had like every other year he's had an over 4 ERA or worse.
He's one of those super inconsistent guys where he would go out, dominate one start, and walk 5 or 6 the next and not have any control. He was one of the more inconsistent pitchers in the game.
He has a career ERA of 3.81 for a guy that's getting paid 4 million a year for 3.81. Like, sure, I guess the last 160 innings have been lights out with the Reds and Dodgers, and 2018 with the Indians, he was really good. But like outside of that, his lowest ERA was his rookie season in 2014 with 4.18. So, yeah, something to watch there. Again, like I said, if the Diamondbacks get up, if somebody bets on the Dodgers a little bit, I'll probably add the Diamondbacks in some way. Maybe a team total for the Diamondbacks. I don't know, because
there you go.
Like you said, the pitching situation for the Diamondbacks is not great.
What is that? It's only 3.5 even money.
It's not bad. It's kind of interesting, actually, because even Bauer wasn't, again, like I said, the low BABIP. If the Dodgers can keep that going, but like you said, his fastball has been getting roped since the Spider Tack memo was sent out. Phillies at Giants next game. Velasquez versus Cueto. I combined their names there. Velasco. Cueto currently minus 127. Total in this one 8.5. I was big on Cueto to start the year, and I thought he had a ton of value those first couple starts. Then he had that lat injury and left, and he's been solid since. But obviously the Giants have like the best record in baseball or second best record. So anything you like here with Vince Velasquez, who walks like 6 guys an outing but strikes out 6, nothing.
Well, I didn't look at this game at all. I saw the starting pitching matchup, and I said, either look at this later or just not at all. But what are your thoughts here?
I lean San Fran. This number, I have a lot of leans today. I only have one official play so far. EliteSportsBetting.com. Frank has 4 up already. So we're the plays are going to come in. Like I said, I've already mentioned 2 that I'm close to firing on. Cueto, it's tough. Like I feel like he should be bad, but again, we talk about every night. I feel like this is a Giants show. I love everything the Giants are doing because everybody plays well. Like it's pretty wild. Cueto this year 4.0 ERA, his FIP's 3.78. Now his xERA is 4.8. So depending which metric you like there. But again, 4.8% walk rate, and the last 2 years he's been at 13.4 and 9.4. So he kind of cut that down. He's never got hit hard. He still doesn't get hit hard. So he's just a solid guy that I think is a good like mid to back end starter. Definitely for the San Fran team because they know how to get the most out of him. And Velasquez, sure, he's always gotten the strikeouts, right? 4.25 ERA, 4.8 xERA, 5.28 FIP. So things don't look good. He gets hit hard, 45% hard hit rate, 11% barrel. So I do lean Giants here. I'd probably need 120 or better to get involved, but I don't know if I'm
He hasn't been great since his return from the injured list. He pitched really well against the Angels, but through those 31 innings, he has an ERA of 4.35, WOBA of 3.79. They're slugging 5.16 off of him. It's not bad. 4.2 FIP.
Yeah, he's had some. His first start was bad. 3 innings, 5 against the Padres. The nice thing about him is it's kind of like what we talk about Council does with the starters for the Brewers is they're not gonna Kapler's not gonna leave him out there. Like once there's a first sign of like death, okay, basically, they're gonna pull him. At Arizona, I get it, like tougher park to pitch in. He gave up 4. The thing with him is his his ERA is going to look bad because if he does give up homers, which has been his issue, his 3 worst start, or I guess 3 of his 4 worst starts this year, he's given up 2 home runs. Like that's really going to be it. He goes slow, so I think his ERA is going to be inflated because he doesn't go a lot of innings. He doesn't get those, he gets pulled at 4 1/3 while giving up 3 runs. Maybe he has an inning left, and then the ERA gets better. I still think he's solid. And like I said, Velasquez just, sure, the 27% strikeout rate's great, but 13% walks, 11% barrels, 45% hard hit rate. I think he's going to get hit today. This Giants team, they know how to hit the ball. Reds at Padres. Padres walked off last night. Dan Orsillo on the call was fantastic. That game was absolutely nuts. I think every side, run line, money line, run line, and total all flipped in the bottom of the ninth, or top of the ninth. I think it was top, but Santillan, I think is the name. Paddock going for the Padres minus 197 right now. Total in this one's 8.5, juiced over. Any thoughts on Santillan? Anything? I know you are our no-name pitcher expert from maybe seeing in spring training, but anything on Santillan?
I hadn't heard of this guy until his previous start, and I actually didn't get to this game. Didn't get to go through it. So, what are you thinking here?
Again, it's tough to know what you're going to get out of Tony Santillan, a guy who we just have like no data on, right? Like you're kind of going off of public projection systems, getting a feel, looking at his minor leagues, which he didn't pitch above AA until 32 innings this year, which were pretty good. Looks like he can have some strikeouts. I don't know if the command's going to be there for him though. Like he had 16% walk rate in that first start. That's probably going to be his bugaboo. Is if he can just figure out how to not walk guys. We've seen in the minors, he's had double-digit walk rates at 4 different levels. That's usually not a great sign. So this, I think the Padres will be able to put up runs today. That's why we're seeing minus 198. Obviously, Paddock. We kind of were down on Paddock, right, with the 2-pitch thing going, and we needed him to figure out how to get a 3rd pitch going.
Yeah, but I think he increased his optimal spin on his fastball, and I think he's just improved his the 2 pitches that he does throw, and I think that's kind of why we've seen some improvement out of him lately. Do we know if they are using the same balls in AAA that they are using at the major league level?
I have no idea, man. Any question that comes to the ball in Major League Baseball at this point is just like, I don't know.
I mean, information like that would be helpful, but
I've started to see some home runs where I'm like, are we putting the 2019 ball back in to punish these pitchers? I've seen a couple the last week or so.
I'm glad I'm not the only person that's kind of feeling that way. But no,
the weather is nicer. It's warmer out, so maybe that's it.
I don't mind some of these 4-hour games where we're having these pitchers just out there struggling and having to go deep into the bullpens. They're good for my team totals and things like that, so right. I'm not going to complain.
Yeah, I've just seen a couple. There's been a couple that have been suspect where I'm like, okay, are we going back? Let me know. Say something. Just how you want to punish the pitchers. Go back to the 2019 ball. They'll be dropping the spider tack real quick. Yeah, I got nothing in that Padres game. I'm on market there. I'm using the projection systems for Santillan because there's not really 4 innings of data on him. So A's and Yankees. This is one of my favorite pitching matchups of the day. I'm kind of irritated because I've been a Taillon fan. I think he's been a little bit unlucky, but maybe I need to start thinking about why is he unlucky. Maybe he's just bad. And Kerpelian has been fantastic for Oakland. Yankees minus 131. Total in this one's 9.5. Any feel for these guys? I know Tayon's been unlucky, like I said, but any feel here?
Every time you look at Tylon's page, you're just like, all right, well, I guess I know which side I'm going to be on today. We just see such a large difference between his surface stats and then his advanced stats. It's kind of hard not to expect him to at least turn it around at some point here soon. He has an ERA of 5.7, but his FIP is 4.5. His expected ERA is below 4. Yeah, I lean Yankees here, and I'll probably end up playing this one at some point today.
Yeah, I like I've been on Kerpelian a couple times, but I feel like I've been on Taillon a bunch, and it's tough. Like you said, you look at these stats and 3.92 xERA, even like the FIP is in the mid 4s, which isn't great or anything, but like when you're pitching to a 5.74 ERA, being over a run under that is like you're gonna have a ton of regression. 25% K rate, which is a career high. 7.3 walk rate, which is up a little bit for him from his days in Pittsburgh. He is getting hit a little bit harder, but the problem is the contact. When it's hard, it usually is really hard and at a great angle. And he's given up a career high of, where did it go? 9.7% barrels. This guy, his career high before this was 4.3% barrel.
I mean, he's getting crushed by lefties this year, right? They have a 390 WOBA against them. They're slugging 540. That works out to a 569 FIP. His xFIP isn't that much better at 513. So if you look at his strikeouts minus walk, it's 14.2% versus lefties, 21% versus righties. And I think we're going to see 3 or 4 lefties.
Yeah.
4 in the A's lineup. So that's really, I think, where he struggled this year.
It tends to it really gets bad for him. Like it's not like he's just going out there and like giving up, 4 in like 6 innings or something. Like it's usually like you only go 3 or 4 innings and then he's given up, 3 or 4. Like last start, he only went a third and gave up 4 runs. But Kerpelian, 3.67 xERA, he's up to 32 innings now, 2.51 ERA. His walks are a little concerning. He gets hit a little bit hard, but he does kind of get some infield fly balls. He's I think he's an extreme fly ball pitcher, and in that park, I know that they're playing in Yankee Stadium today, but I think he's a pretty good match for the for the A's and what they're doing. I really like him going forward here. So
yeah, no, I agree. I think I've been on a couple times as well. If you look at the wind today, there's not much, 10 miles per hour. Luckily for Kerpelian, it's out to left field instead of right. So
right. And again, with this Yankees lineup, it just matters if they get it because they're power hitters. It's not like if they get it, it's going 30 feet past the fence. It's not. I think he'll be fine. And if he just, it's like anything. If you give up home runs, you give up home runs. But like Stanton starting to heat up again, maybe we'll start seeing this Yankees lineup start to turn it up. And they're another team that might need a starter. Kluber's out. You don't know if he's reliable when he comes back in like a month. I think that's like a month and a half now. We'll see. They're 6 games back of the Rays, and I think they're out of the wild card. We were talking about yesterday about Toronto. The Yankees are 4 games back of the wild card. Like that's how crazy that AL wild card is going to be.
So
tough.
Let me ask you this. This might be better off left for another show, but how do you see the AL East finishing, at least the top 4?
So Glasnow's a problem, right? I think if Glasnow, there's 2 big wild cards. I guess there's 3. I don't think Toronto can do it. I don't think they have the pitching. I know the pitch, like Robbie Ray's been good. I know Rio's good. I don't think they have the guys outside of that. If the Yankees made a move for a pitcher and if they get, say, Kluber back and he's solid, I think the Yankees will be right there, down to basically the last game type thing last week. Boston's wild card is Chris Sale. He's starting. They're I think they said he was like it was the equivalent of him being throwing in January. He's throwing off a mound now. They're gonna take it. They've already said it. They're gonna take it super easy. I think when he threw his bullpen last week, Cora said, don't get excited because Like he's still so far away. But
I got excited, man. His bullpens looked pretty fucking nasty.
yeah,
So,
I mean, again, if he's healthy, he's going to be amazing. Like it's just what it is. He throws mid 90s from the left side at like this super awkward arm angle and has a slider that moves like 7,000 feet. So Tampa, I can't really discredit them. Glasnow is a huge blow to them because he was a guy that could give innings in depth, so they can kind of do their bullpen game. Like Waka, what's he go? He goes 2-3 innings like every time.
Now he's pretty much going to have to replace Glasnow. I mean, I know this is kind of a cop out, but I do think the Rays probably would have ran away with it if Glasnow doesn't go down.
They probably, I don't know about run away because the teams are good, but they definitely were the favorite. I think now I think it's wide open. Definitely for the Yankees. Like, yo, man, go get a pitcher. Like, get an arm just to survive. Because this, and I know maybe you don't have to, but the lineups, like Tampa Bay, even though they don't have the names, is hitting the crap out of the ball. Boston hitting the crap out of the ball. Yankees hit the crap out of the ball. Toronto hits crap. Like, obviously, I'm not going to bring up the Orioles, their dream, but
they crush lefties, dude. They're almost as good as the White Sox and Astros against lefties. So you can
it's just tough. So I think it's pretty wide open now. I don't think Toronto has the horses. Again, like Toronto, like I think we're all excited about Toronto. They're one game under 500. Like I know they've probably been a little bit unlucky, but they're a team that like the games that their offense jumps on guys, they're going to score 10 runs. So the run differential is, I think, going to be a little inflated, but they've lost 4 in a row. They just blew 3 leads to the Yankees. I think that, if I remember correctly. But yeah, I think I'd have to lean Boston, but that kind of hurts because every time I think Tampa Bay is going to fall off, they just go on like an 8-game win streak. So, staying in the AL East, your Orioles hosting Robbie Ray. And the Blue Jays. Ray is minus 170. Zimmerman on the mound for the Orioles, my guy. Totals ticked down, right? Was this 10 early? Yeah, ticked down to 9.5. It was still 10 somewhere, a couple spots. Juice pretty heavy to the under. You were mentioning something about Orioles versus lefties. What was that?
This total opened at 9 and got hammered up to 10.
Yeah, I mean Zimmerman kind of sucks. Like,
does he though? He's been okay since coming off the injured list. I know he's increased his slider usage, and I mean, you look at his last 4 or 5 starts, and he's faced the White Sox, the Twins, the Rays, and he's gotten pretty close to a quality start, gone like 5 and allowed 3 or less in all those starts. So I definitely think he's been better since coming back from his, I don't know, rehab assignment, I guess, or from the minor leagues. And like I mentioned, the Orioles do have the 3rd best WRC plus versus lefties this season at 118. And Ray's been absolutely lights out. I'm a little surprised to see this total climb up pretty much a full run. It's not as warm here as it's been the last couple of weeks. We've had some temperatures in the 90s most days. I think the high today is going to be in the low 80s. So I'm a little curious to see why that total moved so much.
I think it's just like Toronto hits lefties well, Baltimore hits lefties well. Like I think people are still skeptical of Robbie Ray, which is tough because I don't know. Like again, he's always had the strikeouts. I know they dipped last year, but I'm not really going to care too much about 2020. But he's figured out how to not walk people. That's really his difference. He's still getting hit hard. Like this is why people don't trust Robbie Ray, right? One, his track record, right? We always thought he was going to be the guy that could like figure it out, because he did have that like good season, bad season, good season, bad season going. So 3.45 ERA, his xERA is higher at 3.86, FIP is higher at 4.32. And people, if you use xFIP, I don't love xFIP because I do think people give up more home runs than league average. I don't think you always regress. He does have a 3.03 xFIP. So you're sitting there like, okay, his ERA and xFIP are good. The other ones are not. 32% K rate's good. 6% walk rate's amazing. Like 26% K minus walk is fantastic. He's given up 11.4% barrels and 48.9% hard hit. So if you make contact, which again, he strikes out over 30% of hitters, so it's hard. It's usually hit pretty hard. And now you have an Orioles lineup that I am super close. Like, let me just tell you what my card was almost. I have it. I'll wait for the last game, and you know what it is. But I almost had the Rockies. I almost against Burns. I almost had the Diamondbacks against Bauer, and now I'm about to bet. I'm close to betting Bruce Zimmerman versus the freaking Blue Jays. Does it get worse than that?
I don't appreciate your Bruce Zimmerman slander.
No, he's been. I'll give you that. He's been solid since he went back down. He has been. But my point is, it's the Orioles in general. I'm betting on the Orioles, Pirates, Diamondbacks, and Rockies. Like the Rockies, they're at home, so I guess it's different. But like, you're talking about teams with, like, are those the 4 worst records in baseball?
I mean, yeah, the 4 teams that like you rarely want to, let alone all in the same day.
Colorado, technically, they have 4. They're not the worst, but like outside of Colorado, you're going to get Burns. I'm betting on. I almost bet on 3 of like the 6 worst teams in baseball today. So yeah, that's fun. But no, I think the Orioles do have the side here. Like you said, they do hit lefties well. Robbie Ray gets hit hard, so there's opportunity to beat him. I know there is. I think the side here is the Orioles. Definitely, if this gets over 160, I'm going to have to add them, and I'm going to cry myself to sleep because it's gross. And I think it will. It'll go. Like someone will chase the Orioles here.
I mean, the Blue Jays bullpen is not in great shape. They used 6 or 7 guys yesterday.
Yeah,
might be another team total potentially. Because I do agree with you. I mean, Ray's home run rates aren't going to come back to like league average because he's in the zone so fucking much, and it's the trade-off that I guess he's fine with, and it's working for him.
Right, it's working for him.
It's going to come with a lot of hard hit contact, like you mentioned.
Yeah. Like I said, Orioles. Dream was thinking about possibly adding the team total, maybe diving a little bit deeper. I'm thinking about possibly adding the Orioles.
Just don't slam Zimmerman.
I faded Zimmerman a ton at the beginning of the year. I haven't been on him. I think again we're seeing it. The bad teams are starting to get a little inflated prices here. Twins and Rangers. Barrios against Fulte. Fulte, my guy. Jeez. Twins, despite still struggling, minus 157 on the road today. Total in this one's 8.5. The Twins just it's pretty much getting down to now or never. It's basically there. What do you have in this one?
I mean, we I think talked about this last week or something like that. Me, you, and Frank, and I was ready to sell if I were the Twins last week. I would have done so before Donaldson hits the IL again, and I think Donaldson is questionable today. I didn't really look into why. I don't know if you saw exactly why, but even with all that said, I do have a lean to the Twins here. I feel like I'm pretty close. Fulte's not really a guy that I like. He's an ERA over 5. And all of his, I think Sierra's right around 5 as well. So you don't really expect any really positive regression there, at least in my opinion. And Barrios is quietly putting up kind of, I don't know if it's a career year, but it's pretty close. He's a guy that's a little inconsistent, but I mean, man, it really looks like he's putting it together. K's over 9 per 9, ERA of 3.5, xFIP right around there as well. And the Sierra's at 3.62, which I think is his career best. So I kind of want to back the Twins and Barrios here.
Yeah, I'm on market here. Fulte, I'm actually surprised that I'm not. Fulte, he's just been bad. He's been bad for a good amount of time now. He used to be I'd like to say he was a solid arm for Atlanta, but he really wasn't now that I'm looking at it. Maybe I just have a distorted view of what Atlanta was, but 15%, 16% K rate. He's not walking guys, which helps, but 10% barrel, 44%. Hard hit rate. So again, like I agree with you. Barrios has been great. The Twins have to get moving. Maeda, he came back. He pitched okay. That'll be obviously huge for them because they just don't have the starting pitching. But yeah, I think by another 2 weeks we'll know where they stand. And the White Sox keep getting beat up. They keep winning games, but they keep getting beat up. So maybe they can make a run. But again, there's so many good teams in the AL. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Fulte get wrecked his last 2 starts against the Dodgers and again in Coors. I don't want to get into home and away splits really, but I mean, he is much better suited to pitch at Texas with his over 40% fly ball ratio. It's a much better par for him, especially if the roof is closed.
Yeah.
So he does have that going for him.
Yep. Boston and KC still off the board. KC is undecided on who's pitching. Pavetta's going to go for Boston. I've seen Kowar.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think that's going to be the likely one, but we don't have anything. Books have not opened a line yet. White Sox and Astros. Rodon against Garcia. Rodon minus 110. Total in this one's 8. Rodon keeps doing it, man. Like he's kind of like is he the front runner for AL Cy Young now that Glasnow's hurt? I mean, I guess Garrett Cole still probably is because his numbers are good, but like Rodon's top 3. You know. Like
he's been absolutely lights out, and it seems like he's getting better. You know, that's like the craziest part. But also, Luis Garcia through 60 innings has been incredible himself, and it's kind of weird that we're not really hearing that much about him. I mean, this is part of the reason why they moved Christian Javier back to the bullpen, which I think is kind of an ideal role for him. And just talk about him for a second. That's a really great weapon for Dusty Baker and the Astros to have when if their starter only goes 5 or 6, they can throw that Christian out there and let him go 2 or 3. And I mean, that's a great situation for them. But you look at Garcia specifically as an ERA under 3, and I think all his peripherals are pretty great as well. His SIERA is not that much higher at 3.77. He's getting the strikeouts going. Z contact of 82, swinging strike of 13. I like this kid. I had to lean towards the first 5 under here and the Astros, but I haven't played anything yet.
Yeah, I lean Astros as well. It's tough. They just lost Bregman to a quad injury. He's on the IL. But you bring up a good point with I feel like because the Astros were the cheaters, like we don't want to talk about them in the media at all. Like they've been great. Altuve has been fantastic. Definitely the last week. I feel like he's hitting a home run every game now. I think he's at 16 home runs or 17. He's been fantastic. Bregman injury is not great, but again, they hit lefties well. So you're going to get Brantley's a guy who hits left, or Alvarez hits him. That's those are your 2 lefties in the lineup for the Astros today facing Rodon. So you're going to have platoon advantage. I know you're going to have my guy, Chas McCormick, Mowersville stand up, hitting second, but and you got Toro, Maldonado's in there for more defense purposes, but I don't know. I look at this. I look at the White Sox lineup and sure Mercedes has not. He's been bad since he hit that 3-0 home run and that whole issue. He's been really bad. But Vaughn's been pretty solid. Grandal's been great despite hitting I think his batting average is 150. So I don't know. Lineup wise, I think we're kind of equal-ish. Maybe you could say Houston's a little bit behind. I guess you could say Rodon's better, but like you said, Garcia's been fantastic, and the Astros at home. I feel like this might be an ad for me. If there's any White Sox money, I'll be adding the Astros here.
I think we've seen a little bit, right? Last I checked, the Astros were dogs.
It was plus 103 not too long ago.
And dude, you mentioned Altuve going into yesterday. He now has 15 home runs in his last 38 games. But going into yesterday, in his last 37 games, he had a WRC plus of 174, 419 WOBA, 398 on base, and almost 600 slugging. The dude is absolutely raking. You brought up McCormick, man. I'll be honest, it tilts me that Dusty just doesn't stick Correa in that 2 spot, especially versus lefties. I mean, I don't know why he wants to keep batting him 6th or 7th. I don't know if it's a comfort thing or what, but my man is going to get paid this offseason, and I assume we'll be seeing him batting in the top 3 spots for somebody else next year.
Yeah. I bring up Chas McCormick because I played against him in college. I'll bring up him, which is just wild to me, but he 120 WRC plus. He's been a good bat for them. With kind of the injuries, they've kind of been. I feel like they just one guy gets plucked every time for the Astros so far. I know they had some COVID issues at the beginning of the year too, but yeah, we both like Houston on that side. You said first 5 under, right? You're leaning that way too.
Yeah. Because we've seen the total drop half a run, so I don't know if I'll still do that. But
Tigers and Angels, Urania against Cobb. Alex Cobb in the year of 2021 is a minus 200 favorite. Total in this one's 9 juice to the over. Dream 200 for Alex Cobb. Can you get behind that?
I wish Frank was here so we could just see him lose his mind and slander Cobb for the next 20 minutes. But man, he's been okay in some spots. I can't really figure him out. I feel like he's a guy that's either going to get shelled and only last 2 innings, or he's going pretty deep into the games and striking everybody out with his thing. You're not going to like this, but yeah, I lean Angels here. Maybe Angels team total. I feel like it's that side or nothing. I'm guessing that you're trying to talk yourself into the Tigers.
No, this is the one bad team I'm not on.
All right,
I'm on market here. Like Urania, he still walks too many guys for only a 13.6 K rate. He doesn't give up many barrels, but he does get hit hard. But he's an extreme ground ball pitcher to a degree. I guess 53% ground ball rate. So that's gonna help him get hit harder. He's just not good. I don't know. I keep waiting around for him to like kind of figure it out because he throws like mid 90s, but it's just not good. I don't know if he needs to like up his changeup usage. But looking at it, that pitch gets hit a ton. I don't know. I don't know what to make of him. Alex Cobb, 4.98 ERA. Like you're gonna sit here and say it's bad. 28% K rate, 7.5% walk rate, 35% hard hit rate, 2.6% barrel rate. His xERA is 3.42. His FIP is 2.54. Like now that I kind of set it up that like it's kind of crazy to think that Alex Cobb is a minus 200 favorite. I think it's warranted. I think I legitimately think like if I was on Detroit, I would hate myself. I would absolutely hate myself if I was on Detroit today. They're still doing this thing with Cobb, right? They kind of give him like an extra day or two, right? Like he's pitching like every 7th day. They've been doing that, or it's like I know they did it early in the year. Like it's been 6. I guess this is 6 days since he pitched. I feel like they're giving him an extra day, which might be helping. I know he's been bad in his last 2 outings, but again, like I think he's 538 BABIP in against Arizona last time. Like so. I don't know. I think this is warranted for Cobb here. If I was on Detroit, I would hate myself because that'd be another bad team that I'm thinking about betting. But no, I think this line's right. The total in this one, I kind of lean. Where do I lean? Nothing. I'm on market for the whole thing, so nothing there. Cobb, Dream. You said you lean Angels, right?
Angels, maybe potentially Angels team total, but yeah, I haven't played anything yet. I was
Right.
just went through these games.
Gotcha. Tampa Bay, Seattle, next game on the board. Waka and Kikuchi, we talked about Waka earlier. This game's pretty even across the board. Total in this one's 7.5, juice the over. Anything with, I know Waka games are tough, but anything here with the
I mean, how deep are you projecting Walker to go? That's really where I'm stuck here. He went 2 innings in his previous start and 2 2/3 the outing before that, and he's taking Glasnow's spot in the rotation. I fell asleep about halfway through the game yesterday. I don't know how much of their bullpen was used, but I mean, this is kind of what are we kind of looking at this like he'll go 3 innings and this is a bullpen game for the Rays?
I think it's 3 innings max. I don't know if McHugh will come behind him.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. They only used 3 guys yesterday, or 4. Thompson threw 6 pitches. Honestly, man, this is where I think those arms that they got from the Brewers, Fireeisen, and man, I'm going to butcher this other guy's name. I'm not going to say it. It starts with an R, Ramazin or something like that.
Yeah.
Those guys look really good. And the former I think he was a starter coming up for the Brewers. So I wouldn't be surprised to see one of those guys inserted into the lineup and maybe start seeing Fireeisen maybe pitching a couple innings at a time for them out of the pen.
Yeah, I guess I technically lean Seattle here, but it's so difficult with what like Waka and McHugh and what these guys are. But I think it's going to be Waka for 2, max of 3. It's basically 3 if he can get there. Like they won't stretch him past that. I don't imagine. They did that earlier in the year and it wasn't really working, and now they're kind of limiting him, and it's kind of working, I guess. Like he's finding a way to get through with like 1 run most of the time. So yeah, this is more of a stay away for me. And Seattle is just terrible.
It's pretty much where I ended up. Like I like Seattle. I feel like if you force me to make a play here, it's probably on the Mariners.
Yeah,
but there's just so much unknown here.
And Seattle's lineup is so bad. Like I don't know what to make. Like I think they're last in position player war. Like their leadoff hitters, J.P. Crawford. Like he was a top prospect like 5 years ago.
Yeah, they need to just go ahead and move Haniger. If somebody will take Seager as well, but I don't really know what
Seager has to go, man. Get him out of there. Like he has to. Like they're still like a couple years away. Like they're going to be like the Tigers in the standpoint of like it feels like they're going to be rebuilding forever.
I'd say the Orioles are probably closer than the Mariners, but
the problem, the Orioles are. I will admit that, but the problem with the Orioles is the division is just a freaking buzzsaw. Right. I mean, the NL West, like at least the Angels always never quite get there. Like the Rangers have kind of sucked for a long time now. So, last game on the board: Indians at Pirates. Mejia against Cool. Indians minus 126. Total in this one's 9. Juiced pretty heavily to the under. I played Pirates. This is what I mean. I have a pretty ugly card. I got plus 126. That has come down. Chad Cool. Now, hear me out. At the first warning sign of Chad Cool struggling, he needs to be pulled. Shelton, if you can hear me, if you're somehow watching this today, pull him. He cannot go far. But if he does not, and his big thing is walks. If he is able to limit the walks, he'll be pretty good. But his first time through the order this year has not been good, so I'm not going to sit here and say it. But his second time has been good as well. But the third time's just bad. There's no reason for him to ever get to the third time.
Also, do you consider the fact that Chad Cool just might not be good?
No, he's not good. He's not. I'll say it. I'm still betting on him, but he's not good.
But it's interesting also to look at the Indians now. I think they have a couple injuries as well, but their starters for like the series against the Pirates, I think they're all pretty much either out of the bullpen or they're just kind of trying to cobble together a rotation. They started Eli Morgan yesterday versus the Orioles. Now, I was on the Indians. It was just kind of one of those things where you kind of hope he went 3 or 4 innings and allowed 3 runs. And I think you're kind of hoping for the same thing here if you're Cleveland.
I literally said yesterday on opening line that you're basically hoping that, like, I know that Eli Morgan is terrible. Like, he's not a good pitcher, but I still have an edge. So this is why I think the edge is good. Like,
yeah, I was happy to see you on the Indians because I was on Money with Siege, and he was like, "This is the worst pitcher in baseball." And I was like, "All right, I'm betting Indians minus 119."
Yeah,
high scoring game, and it worked out. Honestly, man, I haven't looked at this game yet, but I assume I'm going to end up with the same conclusion.
Yeah, so Mejia has been pretty solid. 4.26 ERA, his xERA is 3.55. His FIP's even better at 2.3. He gets some strikeouts. His walks are a little bit high, but that's fine with the strikeouts. His average launch angle this year is minus 1.6, 29% hard hit rate. It's kind of crazy. His launch angle is minus 1.6, but his ground ball rate's only 48%. That's kind of, I would have expected it to be a lot higher. So, as a starter, though, he's been really good in the bullpen. As a starter, not so good. He is at Baltimore. He went 3 innings with no runs, but at St. Louis, he went 2/3 of an inning, 4 runs. Against Baltimore at home, 4 innings pitched, 2 runs. So I don't know if again, as a starter, maybe he's just not it.
It's a tiny sample, right? 7.2 as a starter, 5 as a reliever. But yeah, you're right. He has what, an ERA of 7 as a starter, 0 as a reliever. So
he has WOBA as a starter is 369, and as a reliever it's 098.
Well, here's another guy though. Like, how far do you project him going today? I guess maybe 5 if he's.
I'd say if he's going good, they'll probably stretch him out as far as he can go. But I think it's probably like he's going to be like a 4, like probably on average, I'd imagine. And again, I say this every time I bet the Pirates. Like Adam Frazier, Brian Hayes, Brian Reynolds, Jacob Stallings, Polanco hasn't been great, but that's not like an easy top 5 hitters to face. The bottom of that lineup, Kevin Newman's garbage, but at least he's not hitting 2 anymore. Brian Hayes has taken over. So again, if I can get 3-4 innings out of Cool, I think the Pirates have value. Market agreed with me, so I'm pretty happy with that.
We'll go into the Pirates bullpen in their middle innings, but all right, let's move on.
Hey. We'll figure it out. Karinchak, he's not good either, right? He's a spin rate guy. He was using Spider Tack. So, best bet. You don't have an official bet yet, so I guess you can't really do it. Do you have a best lean? Do we want to go give a best lean out?
Yeah, we'll go Yankees.
Yankees? All right. Yankees is Dream's best lean of the day. He's going with Tyon over the A's and Kaprelian. My best bet, because my only official play is the Pirates. I'll add that. But again, like I said, I am close on betting the Rockies. I am close on betting the Diamondbacks. I am close on betting the Orioles. It's just very, very gross.
So
also
just
close.
Figure out the ugliest sides, and that'll be Austin's card today. And I don't know if you'll be happy or upset about this, but I guess you won't be betting Fetty today. That's moved up to like pretty much minus 120, minus 125 across the board. So we both Nationals. We won't have to plug our noses and bet that one.
Yeah, that was a 10 cents move since we said we like that. I do also lean Astros. So head over to elitesportsbetting.com. You'll see if I add any of those. You'll see any plays that Dream adds. Like I said earlier, We have plays from Siege. He'll have plays up there. We'll have Ricky with plays up there. We got a ton of guys, ton of bets. Like I said, U.S. Open, golf, Frank and Paul, you have that, and Euro soccer for the rest of that tournament. Duke, he's putting out some great content if you're looking for some soccer content at elitesportsbetting.com. So for Dream, any last words you want to say?
Nothing.
Good.
Man.
All right, for Dream, I am Austin, and you guys have a good weekend. Good luck on your bets. Hope they win, and we will see you back here on Monday. Have a good weekend.